Hello and welcome everybody to Flicker Effect, episode 313. This is being recorded on Sunday, November 3rd, 2019. I'm David Lotz. Joining me this episode is Bobby Jackson.
Hey everybody, what's up?
Yasha Wilson.
Hey, everybody.
And Michelle Hillard.
Hello, everyone. Hello.
Happy November. Yeah, that's all I got. Happy November. And we actually have somewhat decent weather here now. Like, seriously, it was like November 1st and like a switch happened here in Central Florida.
It was lovely.
Yeah. Because like
going to go back now.
Halloween night was still like, oh God, I can't believe it's the end of October. This is so muggy and gross. And like literally the next morning, November 1st, I was like, I stepped outside. I'm like, whoa, what happened? Okay, sweet. And it's kind of been like that ever since.
Just kind of appreciating it too, I'm sure.
Yep. Plenty to talk about. New movies this weekend, some new stuff online. We'll get to all that. Let's start off by talking about the box office battle. And yes, I will issue the correction for last weekend since the actuals came out and it kind of changed things. So for those who don't know, box office battle, each week we all predict the top 5 films in the box office. We have a little bonus if you can predict within 2 million for the number 1, how much it's going to make. Last weekend, week 7 since we started this, the estimates had come out that weekend and had Joker actually back on number 1 in front of Maleficent, the sequel to Maleficent. And when the actuals came out a day or two later, that kind of changed up. And indeed, Maleficent was number 1, Joker was number 2, kind of changed our points a little bit. And just a little bit. So I was at 25. Bobby, you were at 20. Yasha, you were at 10. Michelle, you were at 11. But yeah, that's all different now. Now, Bobby, you're at 24. I'm at 21. Yasha, you're at 14. Michelle, you're at 13. After the kind of switcheroo from last week. And then this week happened.
Hanging in there.
So the box office this weekend, number 1 was Terminator Dark Fate, pulling in 29 million. Joker was at number 2 with a hair under 14 million. Maleficent, Mistress of Evil with 12 million this weekend at number 3. New release Harriet at number 4 with 12 million. And at number 5 was The Addams Family with 8.5. So where does that put us? I think we all predicted Terminator Dark Fate would be number 1. Indeed, we all did. But the rest of it is a little different for each of us. Bobby, or I'll start off with you, Yasha. Yasha, you pulled in 1 point this week. So you had Terminator Dark Fate at number 1.
Solid.
Bobby, you had 3 points. If I'm counting things right, you got Terminator Dark Fate at number 1, Joker at number 2, and what was the other one that you had? Yeah, Maleficent at number 3. That was your 3 points. It looks like I also got 3 points. I had Terminator Dark Fate at number 1, and I had what else did I have? Oh yeah, I got the bonus. So I got 2 points for the prediction because I predicted 30 million and it pulled in 29. So that was my 3 points. And Michelle, you had 4 points this week. Woohoo! You got Terminator and the bonus. You had Maleficent 2 at number 2. So there you are.
Woohoo! Yeah, it's funny because I want to see Harriet, and I've been kind of looking forward to this film. Totally forgot it came out this weekend. Like, and that sounds really horrible. Totally forgot it came out this weekend.
It's not horrible.
So many movies.
There are a lot of movies. Actually,
one of the things.
Go ahead, Bobby.
I was just gonna say one of the things that surprised me is that, and it made me think that I need to look a little bit closer at the new releases of the week, because you had in your number 2 spot Snow Dogs, I think it's called, or Snow Patrol,
Arctic Dogs.
something. or there you go, Arctic Dogs.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that movie was coming out. And when I saw it on your list, I was like, oh crap, that was a complete overlook on my part because, I mean, anytime a kids movie comes out, you want to at least know about it because the potential is there for it to go. And then I was thinking about it. I was like, I don't even know if I've seen a trailer for that movie. So then I started to think, well, maybe a lot of people are in the same position as me, is they don't even know that that movie is out, let alone, what it's about. And so maybe it'll sort of slip underneath the top 5. And I think I looked at the box office and it came in like, I want to
Way
say
down there.
maybe at 10. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was pretty low. So
Yeah,
that's surprising.
I
even
think
just
you're
for a kids
exactly.
movie.
I think you're exactly right. I mean, I threw my prediction down on Twitter, and I was kind of like last minute, like, oh man, I got to do this right now. Let me look quickly at what's coming out, and I'll do this. And I saw Arctic Dogs, and I was like, oh, it's a new animated release. I mean, it's probably a good chance it'll make some money.
Right.
But same thing. I was thinking about the fact I'm like, really even seen much about it. I know it's coming out, obviously, and I have seen a trailer, but you're right. I haven't seen really any marketing. And sure enough, I think that's got to be the big issue there because nobody went to see that movie.
No, yeah. I feel like I didn't even see things on TV on this.
No.
Yeah, there's just no marketing for
I don't know
it.
if it's just terrible and I don't know.
Maybe.
Because I mean, yeah, it was way down at number 10. It pulled in a little over 3 million. Yeah. Oof. So I took a chance on
Who made it? Is it DreamWorks?
Works, I thought.
Well, all it says at least on the box office numbers I'm looking at is that the distributor is Entertainment Studios Motion Pictures.
Ooh.
Big as shit.
Well,
Big as
I
shit.
don't think I've heard of them before.
Nope, I never have either.
I might not hear of them again.
Of course, I'm trying to look up now, like what else I'm missing here, but I guess they're the company that made them. I don't know.
I'm with you, Bobby. Like when I saw Arctic Dogs, I had to do some research. Like, what the fuck is Arctic Dogs?
I mean, you've
am
got
I missing something.
you got Angelica Houston and James Franco, Jeremy Renner, Alec Baldwin, all in the voice cast. John Cleese.
Wow.
Oh no, there's a crap ton of names attached to this film. Like a lot of names.
What's my Heidi Klum, Michael Madsen.
Wow. Has Michael Madsen ever been in an animated
No,
film?
has he ever done voice work?
Yeah. Jeez. I guess they were going for what they could get, whatever budget that they were allotted. But yeah, I don't think any of that voice talent transferred over. And maybe it'll be one of those things that people find once it hits home video or whatever. But
Right.
I don't think it's going to last out of the next couple weeks.
Yeah, all I see is the production company as AIC Studios, AMBI Media Group, and Assemblage Entertainment, I think. And then, yeah, distributed by Entertainment Studios.
Oh.
Anyway, enough about Arctic Dogs. Well, while we're talking about the top 5 movies at the box office this weekend, I'm curious how Terminator Dark Fate was, because unfortunately, I didn't see it. But Bobby and Yasha, it sounds like you guys both saw it.
Mm-hmm.
So how was what is basically now Terminator 3, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much.
Who wants to jump in
Bobby?
first?
Go for it.
Sure.
The seat to you, sir.
Sure. So, as we know, this is considered the third Terminator film, doing what Halloween essentially did and getting rid of the other movies that they don't want to consider as canon and going from the last movie. So, in this case, the T2 is the last film that they're counting as canon and going into this one. And within this one, we have Linda Hamilton actually coming back. Arnold is still in this series. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think he's been in every Terminator movie in one way or another. But
Yeah, he has.
yeah. Okay, so yeah, he's back, and there's a couple of additions to the cast. There's Diego Luna as the new Terminator. and after all of a sudden forgot her name as the person that's helping the young actress that is also in the movie. And
Mackenzie.
yes, thank you, Mackenzie Davis.
Mhm.
And I was looking forward to this movie because one, James Cameron was involved in executive producing, and then two, also because Tim Miller, who had had a lot to do with the success of the first Deadpool movie, was coming in to direct this movie. And my excitement started to build even more so when we were at San Diego Comic Con, because me and Yasha got to see some footage from the movie that they hadn't shown previously. So that kind of got me into the point where I was like, okay, I think this can work. And after seeing the movie and really kind of experiencing it in the theater setting, I left very excited and happy for the future of this series, which, based on the box office, might mean that there will be no more Terminator movies for quite some time. But I was happy. I really enjoyed the movie. I thought Tim Miller did such a good job of creating exciting action pieces, because once the movie starts, it really takes off, and there's only a few times it sort of dips into quiet moments. But I thought that when the action was there, it was staged and choreographed in such a way where it was intense, and it kept you kind of engaged with what was going on the screen with the action. And I thought, as far as Arnold Schwarzenegger being in it, I think this is his best Terminator performance since T2, in my opinion. I thought he just was very charismatic and had a lot. He was almost a scene stealer every time he was on screen. I thought he just did a really good job in terms of being the Terminator. And there's some twists and turns that happen in it that you don't see. And I just thought, yeah, overall, it was a solid way to try and kick off a new era of Terminator. And unfortunately, the box office doesn't seem to want that to happen. But you never know. I mean, we'll see how it holds up in the second week, and maybe word of mouth can help build it. But I would hope that maybe more people who were on the fence and hesitant because of being burned in the past would at least give this one a try, because I really did enjoy it a lot, to the point where I feel like I might want to see it again in theaters because it was such a good ride.
Well, Yasha.
Wow. I did not feel that way. Uh, I did not feel that way in regards to as enjoying it as much as Bobby did. I thought it was okay. I thought it was fine. It was definitely better than some of the previous Terminators that we've had as of late. I did like the fact that if you just didn't pay attention to the other movies, this being a direct sequel, I enjoyed that. Do I think would I see it again in the theater? Probably really, that's a strong no. I felt it was pretty predictable. I thought they could have changed a few things in the long run when it came to where they were going with the storyline, because I figured it out very, very early on, and I'd be absolutely surprised if Bobby didn't as well. And the special effects in the fight scenes were top notch. Yeah, no, hands down. Mackenzie Davis was fantastic. Linda Hamilton was a lot of fun. Diego Bonita, the gentleman that plays the new Terminator, he was fantastic. He I really enjoyed, because I felt like he added a very, very personal and human touch to the Terminator, almost in the same vein, with a little bit of humor as they did from Terminator 2 with the T-1000. Just little subtle things that, you just kind of, oh man, that was pretty funny. Like really small, subtle comments. And his personality really shone through in some of those scenes. I really, really hope that this is the last time that they do this story, because I don't really know if they can keep going at this, because it is a lot of just the same story over and over and over and over again. And being a fan of the series or of film and wanting to see what they plan on doing next or what they can do next to make it a little bit more exciting, I feel like they've almost jumped the shark when it comes to that. Not in the sense of just bad, like we've all watched movies where they've jumped the shark and it's like, oh, that was absolutely horrible. This, I'm just like, okay, this has been beaten to death. I don't think that we need to have another one of these movies. I personally won't go see it again in the theater. I'll probably watch it maybe again when it's on HBO or something like that. Arnold was really, really good. So was Linda Hamilton. And it was a lot of fun, and you can't help but get jazzed watching them in these characters again on screen. But aside from that, I just thought the movie was fine. I mean, it was cool. You know, the fight scenes were just absolutely amazing. Like, they were a lot of fun to watch. So Tim Miller does a fantastic job with that. But yeah, pay no attention to the other movies that they did. And if you were to watch this one, or excuse me, watch Terminator, Terminator 2, and then this one, that would be an amazing series. Just boom, boom, boom. And this movie probably would have made money hand over fist if they just didn't do the other bullshit and had like released this one like, 25, 30 years later or whatever it is. Like, oh, wow, 40 years later. It's like, wow, this is such a great sequel that, we've been waiting for to kind of see. And it would have been a lot more fun. But I don't know. It was just, that's how I felt about it. I'm talking myself in circles now, but, it was okay.
All right.
And just in case, I don't know if I said his name wrong, but it's Gabriel Luna that I was thinking of, who plays the new Terminator.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, not seeing it this weekend, I kind of immediately realized, as much as I said I want to see it, and I'm still kind of interested, just now with the schedule and the quality of films we have coming up, I'm like, yeah, unfortunately, I probably won't see this in a theater. I'll probably see this once it's on video at this point, because
yeah, it's really not going to happen. It's going to be it's available to rent on iTunes. Sweet.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really super not going to happen.
Probably not.
A few months. Yeah. How goes.
Let's have a random off day where I can use my AMC A list to see an extra movie or something. But anyway, yeah. What was that, Yash?
Oh, I was just saying, like, looking at the rating that was on IMDb.com, I'm looking up the rating that's going to be on Rotten Tomatoes right now. The rating on Rotten Tomatoes gives it is a 6. I guess Dark Fate on Rotten Tomatoes give it a 70% fresh, so that's fairly solid. So I mean, hopefully it wouldn't be a horrible thing if they kept making money and at least their budget back, because they definitely need to do that. But this movie is just, I feel like they've done this story a lot, and they really didn't change much moving forward.
Gotcha. Well, did anybody see any other new releases? Harriet, maybe, or anything else that was new this weekend?
Crickets.
Not
really, Bobby. Nothing else.
I think that was it.
Well, yeah, I did, but not anything that was new this weekend.
Okay.
I got a chance to watch something new for next weekend, which is Dr. Sleep. Fandango was having a fan event that was for this past Wednesday. You could go watch the movie, and it was pretty cool just to be able to see it a week early. Or was it a week early, or is it 2 weeks that it comes out? I'm not sure.
It's a week. Yeah, it's this coming weekend.
Okay. So yeah, and as everyone knows, this is the sequel to The Shining, and it was an interesting way that this movie came about, because Mike Flanagan, the director, he had to essentially try and make a sequel from The Shining that's everybody knows, which is the movie version that Stanley Kubrick did, but also weave in what the book version of The Shining was, and try and figure out a way to kind of bring the two together as a movie, which would obviously differ from the Dr. Sleep novel that Stephen King did, because his novel follows his Shining novel. So it was kind of a tricky way to have to balance it to make a movie out of it. But apparently when he made the movie, or at least when it was in script form, he went to the Kubrick estate, and they seemed to like what he came up with. And he also went to Stephen King, and Stephen King blessed it with his approval as well. So at least on the page, everybody seemed to be happy with the product. And the other aspect I think that should be noted is that, as you see in the trailers, there's the Overlook Hotel that's in there, and they had to essentially rebuild the interiors of the Overlook based off of blueprints that they had from the original Overlook. And so they painstakingly put it together again, which is pretty cool. Ewan McGregor is in it, and Rebecca Ferguson is in it. And without saying too much, because everyone will get a chance to watch it next week, I think hands down, this was probably my favorite Stephen King adaptation of this year, because there's been many of his works. And just in general, it was such a really good movie that I felt like I didn't know anything about the plot line other than, it's Danny Torrance grown up, and he's trying to help this young girl who also has the shine ability. And it's just, I don't know, it just resonated in such a way. I will set expectations to say it's not a scary movie. It's creepy in some ways, but it's not a horror type film. It's just a well-made movie that lives within that universe. I have some problems with the third act in some ways, but other than that, in general, it's just such a good film that lives in that world and brings you back to it. And I thought Rebecca Ferguson was top notch in this movie. The last time I think I've seen her come off this well was in the Mission Impossible movie when she first appeared. And so in this, she plays the villain, and she does it so well. She's so good in this movie. And I just can't say enough about how she was in it. But Ewan McGregor, I think he does a good job in terms of embodying a grown-up Danny Torrance that's conflicted. And it just plays really well on all the different levels in terms of adding more to the lore of The Shining and giving it some areas to go into where you didn't kind of know what could happen after it. Because you would think on the surface of it, what could a sequel bring? But it really expands on it and shows you a difference of what else is out there. And I really, really, really dug it.
Yeah, so basically this coming week, there's 2 nights for sure. Then I'm like, all right, I could see movies these 2 nights. And I've already gotten tickets for 2 movies, but not Dr. Sleep. But I'm kind of torn. There's been a part of me that's like, because I've got a ticket to see Lighthouse one night and Parasite another night. And I'm like, but do I maybe see Parasite and Dr. Sleep or Lighthouse and Dr. Sleep? Though I really want to see Parasite. Wow. I'm pretty sure Parasite is locked into one of those 2 spots.
Yeah, you should lock that one in for sure.
Anyway, that's where I'm torn, because I really want to see The Lighthouse. Man.
Yeah, that's hard, because, I mean, after seeing everything, I know I would say myself, Parasite and Dr. Sleep.
Right.
But, Lighthouse is such a unique and individual type movie that, whereas I think that Dr. Sleep is something that you should absolutely go see, especially if you've seen The Shining and you kind of want to know more. Lighthouse is probably one of those movies where, at least for you, David, if you see it, it could be something that might be in your top 10 of the year, or maybe not, depending on how the movie
or I could hate
you.
it,
Yeah, you could hate it. But I think Dr. Sleep is not a movie that will necessarily fall in your top 10, but you could come out of it saying, yeah, you enjoyed that. You really thought it was good. But
right.
Lighthouse could go either way. I'm just not sure.
Yeah, I'll figure that out. And I want to see Dr. Sleep. I haven't read that novel, but I have read The Shining, and I've obviously seen The Shining, and I like both, and they are different. But yeah, I do like the film and the book, and they are different, and I'm kind of curious to see how Dr. Sleep handles it, kind of like you're hinting at, So Anyway, anything else? You watch anything else new or?
Nope, that's it.
That's it? No. Well, I didn't make it to a movie theater. Michelle, I know you didn't make it to a movie theater.
No movie theater this week.
But watch some stuff online. This week we got the release of one of the new streaming services. This time around on November 1st, it was Apple TV Plus. And went ahead, so when the service dropped on November 1st, they released a few shows. The kind of flagship show of theirs right now is The Morning Show, which stars Jennifer Aniston, Reese Witherspoon, a few other people. Steve Carell. They've also got C with Jason Momoa. What's the one about Dickinson?
Emily?
Is it just called Dickinson, right?
Or it's just called
I think it's
Dickinson?
just called
Yeah,
Dickinson.
there's that. There's a couple kids shows on there. A few handful of like other things. Mm-hmm. And I haven't been that interested in seeing C. I'll say that right up front. And I haven't watched it yet. I was kind of hoping to watch an episode of it before this episode of the podcast.
Pass a little bit of judgment.
Just to kind of see if, maybe it's actually really good or maybe not, not so much. But I haven't watched that yet. But we did go ahead and start watching The Morning Show. And when they dropped the first 3 episodes of The Morning Show and of C. I don't know if they did that with every show.
I would assume so.
I would assume, but we did watch the first 3 episodes of The Morning Show, and then they're going to be released every Friday from here on out. I think it's a 10-episode season. It should be finished like just before Christmas. Yeah, I'll start off with you, Michelle. What'd you think of The Morning Show?
Well,
here, real quick, I'll read, for those who aren't familiar with the show and haven't watched the trailer, I'll read a quick synopsis of it. So Alex Levy anchors The Morning Show, a popular news program broadcast from Manhattan that has excellent TV ratings and is perceived to have changed the face of American television after her partner of 15 years, Mitch Kessler, is fired amidst a sexual misconduct scandal. Alex fights to retain her job as top news anchor while sparking a rivalry with Bradley Jackson, a haphazard field reporter whose series of impulsive decisions bring her into a new world of TV journalism. And yeah, Alex Levy played by Jennifer Aniston, Bradley Jackson played by Reese Witherspoon.
Yep.
Michelle, what do you think of the first 3 episodes so far?
I really liked it a lot, actually. I'm pretty down with it. I like kind of the way they're doing the behind the scenes of it all in a weird way. And I think it kind of, it makes me feel like they're, I guess the best way to explain it. Like I like watching morning shows. I basically grew up watching the Today Show for, during the 90s, I guess during the height of the Today Show-ness. And a little bit in the early 2000s. And then I switched over to watching CBS, the CBS This Morning Show. And I've always been fascinated with also just like, okay, so, they have to come on here and they have to either deliver us horrific news that's happening, or they have a bunch of little soft furry kitten stories they're going to throw at us to make us feel better about the world. And the whole time they have kind of their own little personas. And I've always kind of been curious, what's the real person behind the curtain? What's the real way that they would interact with each other behind the cameras? What's really going on in the hallways? And this gives you an idea of possibly what that could be like in that world. And I like that. I like that it's gritty. I like that, watching them, work with each other. They're, they're very honest, and they're stressed out, and they have no sleep, and they are all just running on empty the whole time. But anyways, it's interesting to watch, and it kind of makes me think that that's probably pretty true to how it actually is. And yeah, no, I'm enjoying the hell out of it. I really like the performances that are being given. I think they're actually really good. Steve Carell's portrayal of his character who's dealing with this sexual misconduct thing. It's first of all, his character is interesting, but honestly, the way Steve is doing it's really good. And watching the show, it's hard not to make comparisons to, say, the Matt Lauer scandal that happened a few years ago.
Right.
there's some similarities there. Also, little Charlie Rose, you know, this definitely is hitting a nerve with current things that are happening in America, or in I guess in the business and the Me Too movement and everything. But I don't think it's a reflection of exactly one person or anything. I think it's kind of a combination of a lot of things that are happening, and they're kind of pulling from different stories here and there to help write this narrative that we're watching unfold. And yeah, I'm loving it. And to see the two women, you know, I won't give anything away, but the first episode, you're kind of watching the two and they kind of go head to head, and then it's kind of done. But then by the third episode, you're like, oh wow, this is happening. And I'm really curious to see how this is going to unfold down the road, because it is, it's good to see these two personalities really go head to head against each other, because they're very similar but very different all at the same time. So no, I'm enjoying the hell out of it, and I cannot wait for the next episode to drop. I'm down. I'm ready.
I'm with you. I'm surprised how much I liked it.
Yeah,
but it's really good.
It's really good. It's done really well too.
The entire cast I've been impressed with. I mean, you've also got Billy Crudup. He's great in the show.
Oh, he's so good.
There's a role played by if I'm getting her name correctly, Gugu Mbata Raw.
Yes.
And she's incredibly good. I mean, she doesn't have a ton of screen time in this so far, but she's really good, which she is on screen.
Yeah, she's in Motherless Brooklyn. It's coming out soon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's really great in it. Yeah, you pointed out, and I agree, there's times where Reese Witherspoon's accent seems to kind of drift between a kind of a thicker Southern accent and a not so thick Southern accent.
That was my one thing.
It's not annoying though. To me, it's like I notice it, but it's like, I don't know. It's her performance is still good enough that I'm like, it's fine. Like it's not that distracting, I guess.
No, her performance is good. I think that's the one thing that has me kind of annoyed, because I can hear it kind of going in and out. And there's times you can hear her laid on thicker during certain situations, and I guess that's her trying to put on her persona of, oh, aren't you sweet, you know. She's trying to kind of put it out there purposely, and there's other times I think she actually is trying to kind of purposely cover it up. So I'm wondering if that's actually what's happening.
Right.
I need to see more of the show and more of her accent going in and out to see if that's what's happening. Like, it's very specific as to what the situation is and who she's talking to.
Yeah. But I'm fascinated by it so far. I like that they dropped 3 episodes, because it was like I've definitely fallen into the camp as I am a fan of streaming services releasing things week by week. I know Netflix has not done that, and yeah, there's definitely been times I've been like, all right, I'm going to take the day off and I'm going to binge Stranger Things today, and that can be fun. But I like that they kind of keep the conversation going. Everyone's kind of watching it together. You don't feel like you have to rush through an entire season because you don't want to have it spoiled online. But it was nice that they went ahead and dropped 3 at once right at the beginning, because it gave you enough to watch to really get kind of dug in and go, okay, yeah, I really want to keep with this. Because, we've said before, just one episode, sometimes you still are like, on the fence.
Right.
Even though I will say, even after the one episode, I was like, all right, yeah, I definitely want to watch the other 2 before the weekend's out.
I've always had a 3-episode rule personally. Like, I'm always very like, give it 3 episodes. If it hasn't wet my palate, my teeth hasn't sunk into it, it's done. So this gives you that opportunity to prove itself within 3 episodes. I will say though, I was in after the first episode. I was like, oh no, this is. I'm down with this. I will say it's funny. We were watching it, and you seemed to giggle or laugh the most under Mark Duplass's character.
Oh, he's great.
He's fabulous. I love Mark Duplass.
I've always liked him.
I love his humor, his writing, his comedic writing. Some of the other shows he's done, he's written for and been in or not been in. It's been spectacular. But no, you seem to definitely laugh the most whenever he was on screen. It was funny.
Yeah, I'm impressed. Especially this is a show that when it was, first being, I guess, shopped, and I think this started off as a bidding war between Apple and Netflix, and Apple got this. This is based on a book, Top of the Morning, Inside the Cutthroat World of Morning TV. And, originally this wasn't going to be about kind of focused on the Me Too movement. But basically, I guess once the Me Too movement kind of happened, especially in the Today Show situation and the CBS situation, the show got retooled. It got a new showrunner. And considering it's a show that's already been kind of, it's changed a little bit behind the scenes before we even saw it. It's seems like they've done a pretty good job.
Yeah.
I'm very happy.
I am too. And I mean, it makes me want to check out Dickinson even more. I've been curious about that show, and I'd forgotten that was going to be on the ABC Plus platform
or Apple
Plus. I'm sorry, the Apple Plus platform. And now I think that might have to happen tomorrow.
So Bobby, maybe you can help answer this. I guess I'm not even completely aware, but like Apple TV Plus, is this a service that's really only available to people who have an Apple device, or is it possible to watch this on, say, like Windows or another device that's not Apple?
That's a good question. I'm honestly not sure. I know that they wouldn't just make a streaming service that you had to have something Apple related in order to be able to watch it. That seems counterproductive. I imagine you're able to watch it on like if you have a Windows PC and go to some sort of login area like an Apple TV Plus or something.com or whatever,
right,
and be able to watch it.
Yeah,
it just doesn't seem like it would make much business sense if you limit it just to Apple products being able to access it and be able to watch it.
I wouldn't think so either, yeah.
Especially when I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like if you have an Apple TV or if you have some sort of device, isn't it kind of free right now, or like free for the first year or something like that?
You know, I think you had like said something about that on our group text, and I was curious about that because all I saw, because I do have an Apple TV, and it was just a 1-week trial, which is pretty common with stuff with them like this. But I now that you mentioned that, I thought that there was going to be a longer period of free trial, if you will. But I mean, it's fine. It's $5 a month right now. It's
for the content that I've seen thus far for $5. It's totally worth it.
Oh yeah.
Like
I do know that I remember reading something where it said that if you have an Apple product that you bought within the last fill in the blank month, I'm not really sure how long ago it was, then you can get the access to the service for a year for free, I believe.
That sounds familiar, yeah.
So I know you just got an iPad not too long ago, so you might want to look into that.
That's true. I hadn't thought about that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Huh. Thanks, Bobby.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I will say one more little shout out to the ABC. The only other thing I've really seen was for the kids was the new Snoopy show that they have.
Yeah, it's Snoopy like Snoopy in Space.
Very specific like storyline that's happening about Snoopy trying to get in with NASA. It's pretty cute.
And when it started, I was kind of curious, is this just going to be Snoopy? And then I was like, oh no, here's all the other Peanuts characters in it.
Yeah. No, it was good. I like the animation.
Yeah.
It's still classic, but it's updated to today's standards of animation. But it's visually, it's really good. It's really
cute.
There
was another show, I don't remember the name off the top of my head, the kids show that's from the Sesame Street Workshop. So it's about these like monsters that are also like, I don't know, they were like handymen or something.
Yeah, they're like the can-doable or like what was it? Like,
I don't remember. I don't have it in front of me.
Yeah, it was kind of cute.
Yeah, the kids watched an episode of that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so Apple TV Plus so far, I'm happy, at least with the one show.
Yeah, and well, again, it does make me curious. The quality that I'm seeing with the other stuff has made me curious. I'm curious to give the show C an opportunity at least. I'm definitely watching Dickinson at this point because I was curious about it way before. But I'm definitely watching that one. But I'm curious now. I will give C an opportunity for an episode or two and see what happens in my mind.
Yeah.
Shows like Dickinson make my head hurt a little bit.
How's that?
It's because it's doing that that Romeo and Juliet thing with Leonardo DiCaprio. Where
like it's a modern take on.
But yet, well, in this case, it's sort of reversed in the way that it takes place back in the 1800s or some, way back when, but yet they speak modern and they have modern like phrases and modern music and stuff in it. So it's like, oof, it just makes my head hurt a little bit. Like trying to wrap my brain around it a little bit.
No, because I'm with you, and I've come across stuff like that. It's like it's hit or miss. If it's done the right way and really well, then I've been okay with it. But there's definitely been plenty of examples of, okay, no, you're just doing this as your shtick, and it's not. I'm not enjoying this.
I mean, you definitely quoted one of the best examples of it, which is Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, which I very much enjoyed.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. But yeah,
like I remember the first time I don't know, this pops into my head. I think the first time I saw A Knight's Tale, I'm like,
that's the way I was. The second one I was thinking.
It's sorry.
You know what's really funny about that is I remember the first time I saw A Knight's Tale, however many moons ago. I mean, I think I actually saw it in the theater, and I remember sitting there going, this is not working for me. And then almost as soon as I watched it the second time, I was like, I love this. What the hell? Like was I in a weird mood or something? But now I'm like, it's one of my favorite like movies. I'll throw it on in the background. I love watching Knight's Tale in the background. It's the best.
Cool.
I know, that's so weird. It's not a great movie. I will say it's not great, but
no, I don't think you mean it that way.
I quickly got over the whole like
easy movie to watch.
Right.
It totally is, and then I actually enjoy some of their banter back and forth. I actually enjoy the updated soundtrack to it. Like it's just one of those weird things that I was super on board the second time I watched it. The first time I was like, ugh, no, this is not happening. Anyways, funny.
So the other new thing that both you and I have watched, Michelle, is The King on Netflix. This is a new film from director David Michôd. The only other thing I think I'm familiar with him from is the film Animal Kingdom, which was excellent.
Oh.
I've never seen the Animal Kingdom show, and I don't think he has any involvement in that, but the movie I very much enjoyed. So he was the director of that. And this film, and I'll read the synopsis of this. This is written by Netflix. Hal, played by Timothée Chalamet, wayward prince and reluctant heir to the English throne, has turned his back on royal life and is living among the people. But when his tyrannical father dies, Hal is crowned King Henry V and is forced to embrace the life he had previously tried to escape. Now the young king must navigate the palace politics, chaos, and war his father left behind, and the emotional strings of his past life, including his relationship with his closest friend and mentor, the aging alcoholic knight, John Falstaff, played by Joel Edgerton. Mm-hmm. So this film is, it seems to be, from my understanding, it's based on several Shakespearean plays, the Henriade, which I am not going to pretend to have any familiarity with. So don't even ask me to like compare. I love Shakespeare, but I haven't consumed a lot of Shakespeare.
You never read Henry V?
No, I don't. If I did, I obviously don't remember it well.
Right.
I might have a long time ago. It's some type of schoolwork, but no, I don't think I did.
Gotcha.
Did you?
I did. And I remember it enough, but I don't remember it in very big detail. I will say when it comes to reading Shakespeare is a multiple read kind of a thing to really get all the layers, I think, really well into your mind. The nuances that he wrote in most of his plays and novels are deep.
Right.
I usually wind up, I feel like reading Shakespeare definitely is a 2, 3, or 4 time kind of a read. Romeo and Juliet's a little more shallow, but I will say some of the other stuff is really deep. Like the more I read Julius Caesar, the more I loved Julius Caesar.
Right.
Anyways.
So, I mean, my understanding is, David Michôd is trying to make a film that's a more historically accurate, but it definitely seems to be kind of definitely taking inspiration from the Shakespeare work.
Yes.
Definitely the character of Falstaff, which is a fictional character.
Yes. And then the drama that is ensuing. I mean, there was drama historically, but he really brings it home.
Right.
And I will say what was interesting, I don't know if you caught it, there were some modern day phrases that were used during their conversations.
The funny thing about that, as we were watching it, the other day, I had, this was the second time for me and the first time for you, we watched The Witch. Mm-hmm. And in The Witch, that director really is going out of his way to have them speak like what should be historically correct period language. Yes. And going from watching that, and then I'm watching this, and it definitely crossed my mind early on. They're at a table in a very early scene talking, there's some dialogue, and just the way they're talking, I'm like, yeah, this is not like it's funny. Everything is pretty historically accurate to the period, except for their dialogue. I wouldn't say it's modern day, but at the same time, it's not like
modern day slang.
No.
But there were some like weird phrases that it was like, that's a phrase that I know was not around in the 15th century.
Right.
Call me crazy. But even so, I'll bring this around real quick. So even with the dialogue not being period conversation dialogue, I still found myself really enjoying the king a lot. Like, I was very happy watching this story unfold. I think there was a few times, I don't even want to say the word slow, but there was a few times I was kind of like, this feels a little lolly, but pretty quickly there'd always be something right behind it that kind of was like, oh, we're back in. Like, the game is afoot. Like, it was very intriguing. I liked watching everything play out. I thought Timothée Chalamet was amazing. I really liked him a lot in this. Like, that kid he's killing me. He's definitely one of the best up and coming actors of our time right now, like of young actors. He's crazy good. And yeah, I mean, I won't give anything away, but by the end of the movie, it was like the last like 30 to an hour of that movie, 30 minutes to an hour of that movie. By the time it ended, I was like, damn it, I want more. Like, I wanted more. I was like, son of a, they could totally make another film to back up this one. I would be enthralled.
Yeah, I mean, I think this clocks in at like 2 hours, 20 minutes,
It's
if I remember
long.
correctly. And yeah, when it ended, I was like, oh, wow, it's over.
Yes. I was like, damn it.
I mean, with that said, it's not a fast-paced film. There's definitely the movie takes its time, and I also will admit, you know, I enjoyed the film first of all, but I also just love this history. So there's a part of me that just enjoys watching a movie set in this period that seems to really be going out of its way to be what appears to be historically accurate with the costumes,
The knights.
all the armor.
Yeah, the armor.
That was just fascinating to watch. As someone who loves this kind of thing, I was just enjoying being in this
Aesthetic.
world for, over 2 hours. But yeah, there's definitely times that I could say that this is not for everyone because it can drag a bit.
Yeah, it's not for everybody. They take their time setting the scene for everything that happens.
But I for one enjoyed it. Yeah, it's not perfect. There's certain aspects of it that I have problems with, and I don't want to spoil anything either. But I will say, like, one thing I'll try to mention is that the movie is definitely taking a position, at least that Henry V seems very concerned with, warmongering and the cost of war. It is a reoccurring theme in this film that he is not his father. That he is not just going to run out and, just start battles.
Right. He's not going to take apart every little thing that happens and then start a war because he's like, oh, that was like an FU in my face. Well, screw him. I'm battling him, which is basically what his father did do.
But then there are moments that happen in this film where that seems to shift. And I don't think the storytelling does a good enough job as to selling me on that change. Like when Henry V suddenly doesn't seem like that person anymore, I was in the film going, wait, what? I don't buy it. Like, not based on what I had seen so far. It didn't seem fitting. And yeah, like going back to, I wanted more of this. This did feel like this could have been a good story told over like a 5-episode miniseries,
Totally.
And taking more time. I would have been happy with.
Yeah. Hell, even just, like 4 hour-and-a-half episodes. That would have been super. It could have gone on longer, and it could have just had more enthrall. And I know what you're saying. His character shift, the dynamic shift, is all supposed to be pushed by the people that are surrounding him in his world and his throne. And I never really felt that it was depicted how they shoved him to become such a paradigm shift in his own opinions. Like, for him to shift like that, I was kind of like, that was pretty quick, actually. They didn't really edge him too hard. I mean, they did a little bit, but not more than I thought that. I feel like they should have made him. There should have been more of an explanation as to why all of a sudden he was like, okay, well, now I've been screwed over so many times, and now I am going to turn into this person.
Right.
And that didn't seem to really happen, at least on screen. But I still really enjoyed the hell out of it, and I liked a lot of the other actors that were in it.
Robert Pattinson in this film is like a very thick French accent, and I mean, I'm no expert on French accents, but he pulled it off.
No,
man.
it was really good.
It was very good.
That was I will say, if anything, his accent was, I guess some people could take it as almost cartoonish, but it's not, because what it is I think he actually took it as to, if I were in this period, how would I speak French? And if I was living in this time period speaking French, how would I then learn English? And that's what he did. Like, it was really impressive, in my opinion, of my very, very small understanding of the French language and what I have and accents. It was really good. I was impressed with it as well.
Yeah. Everyone in it. Lily Rose Depp, who we don't see a lot in it.
For the 10 minutes you have her,
Yeah.
I loved her.
So yeah, I think we both enjoyed The King.
I highly recommend The King. For a Netflix film, I was very impressed.
Right.
Very impressed. And yeah, I can't say enough about how much I love Timothée Chalamet. Did you? I guess you weren't.
I liked him
okay.
too.
You kind of had this look like, and I was like,
no,
really?
No, I thought he was great.
Oh no, I thought it was fabulous. Anyways, so yeah.
Oh, that's what I've watched this week.
And then I saw The Witch for the first time.
Oh yeah, you saw The Witch.
Yeah, I did.
Really quick, what do you think
I
of it?
saw it.
We haven't talked about it.
We have not talked about The Witch.
And
Okay, so The Witch. Because David really enjoys this movie, so I'm really
I mean, to recap, I as I said before on this podcast, the first time I saw it, I walked out going, "Oh, I don't know about this." Like, and again, I think it had a lot to do with marketing and expectation of the kind of movie I was going into, and I walked out of it going, "Oh wow, that was not the movie I expected," and I had to kind of like really pull myself away from the expectations and okay, yeah, that's not what I expected, but how was it, and now watching it again, yes, I definitely enjoy that film. I think it's a very good movie. I enjoyed it a lot more the second time than I did the first time.
Oh, that's good.
But I think the expectation thing is a big reason for that. I went into it a second watching knowing what I was going to see,
right.
The kind of movie it was, and I was able to appreciate a lot of the stuff that happened in it a lot more, I think, when that second viewing.
Well, I will say that I went into it pretty much knowing what I was going to get out of that film. I definitely understood the impression was basically this is a horror story if you were living in that time frame. Like, it's a Puritan version of the worst case scenario of what could happen to you, to your life. Like, it's a horror story for that time frame, and in that mentality, it's a fabulously well told horror story. Like, it's delicious. In modern times, I think it's more just a mental image of how much faith and reality and what was happening, and how much I guess I don't want to say like when you're displaced out of a group and you're by yourself, like the loneliness of being without other people, like what it can do to your own psyche, and how much religion can play into that, especially in this situation. It was just really entertaining in that sense. So it's like, on one side, I really enjoyed it for what it's trying to be, and then I also enjoy for what it is depicting, like how I think modern people are interpreting it. Mm-hmm. So I like it for both reasons, and I really enjoyed it. I don't want to say I loved it, but I really enjoyed this movie, and I actually think the way it ends is pretty perfect. Like, it was like, oh, this is spectacular.
Right. Yeah, going into the isolation thing. I mean, Robert,
that's the word, isolation.
Robert Eggers, who, by the way, yeah, if we mentioned before, he directed The Lighthouse, which we talked about earlier.
Yep.
He has said he's not actually a horror movie fan, but he is a huge fan of The Shining, and he recognizes himself. There is a lot of The Shining in this story.
There is. I think it's just, there's so much when it comes to humans in isolation, and there's so much that plays into our own minds and how things can get weird, honestly. And he really dives into that, and he uses the idea of basically a 17th century, 18th century horror, like what it would be like to like live in a horror story at that time frame. And this was the perfect idea of that. Like, if you were a person of this kind of religious belief system, of the way the world was, just what your closest neighbor is not within shouting distance, like how everything is set up is literally like that is cabin in the woods, my friends. Like that is just placed in that time frame. And yeah, the isolation, and then just the religious, like your belief system, that their religious belief system at that time was you. That was a part of you. That wasn't like kind of a part of you like it is kind of now. Like it was 50% defining your personal character. Like that's what was happening. And so it was just interesting to see everything kind of through those people's eyes. No, I really enjoyed it. I thought the performances were really strong. I thought the story was really strong. It's really good, and visually, it's an entertaining thing to watch. The color scheme is all within a certain range, except for with one person, it's a much different range. But that's like the light of the scheme. I don't know. It was just really interesting. I really liked it a lot.
Good. Glad you liked it.
And Black Phillip is just the creepiest. Like, who knew goats could be so creepy? It's so good.
Which it sounds like, I mean, from the little bit I've kind of looked into the film after watching it the second time, like the Black Phillip, I don't think was originally intended to be so present in the film. I think it was just a matter of the goat actor did not cooperate apparently. Like,
right.
Robert Eggers, like he said, like that goat did not want to be there and did not want to be shooting this film.
Not want to be on screen. Did not want to behave.
Yeah.
Could have given two shits.
I mean, you would
less.
never tell watching the film. It seems perfect. The way he's used in the film is perfect. Yeah. Anyway, glad you like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all we've watched. Anything else?
Any news this week?
Yeah.
Well, did Yasha watch anything else?
Nothing really worth mentioning. I'm trying to watch and stay into this show that I got into, just a sitcom. I can't remember the name of it. It's called, give me 1 second. Sorry about that. It's called, and I can't find it. So, obviously not worth mentioning. The guy, Sunnyside, that's what it is.
Oh.
Yeah, and I've tried to get into that. It's really not great, but I kind of just watch it a little bit here and there. I'm just like, and it's funny, like I watch it and I think about it when it comes to like addressing it with you guys on the show, and it's just like, I will genuinely be surprised if this show makes it past the first season.
Oh, I guess you hadn't heard the news, because it's definitely not making it past the first season. I think it was the first casualty of the new season. In fact, that they mentioned maybe a couple weeks ago that I think they had aired its last episode on NBC, and all the rest of the episodes that they have for the season will be on the NBC app, I think, that you can watch. So,
wow.
Yeah, not
it
even
was
on air.
Yeah. I pretty much watched it when I work out, like when I do my cardio, and it's just like, something that I don't necessarily need to pay attention to, but I, try to. I think it had potential. I think some of the characters that they had in there were absolutely terrible, like just really, really bad. They had this couple on there, not even a couple, but a brother and sister duo that were these supposedly incredibly wealthy Asian people that were trying to get their citizenship. And I just found them remarkably annoying. Like nothing about them was even close to funny. But I liked the premise of a disgraced congressman or whoever he was. But anyways, not for not, like I'm just, trying to stay up to date with my little sitcoms that I like to watch and stay on top of Watchmen and the movies, and find time to be able to do that. So yeah, that's really what I do. That's pretty much all I do. I haven't watched anything super new or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I will say, we're now 2 episodes into Watchmen, and third episode, just started. And I'm definitely all in on that show.
Oh my God. Yes.
Yes, it is.
So good.
It is so good. And then Silicon Valley started last weekend, and then
yes, it did.
Is
did.
Is it tonight that his Dark Materials starts?
Yes.
Oh man, why is everything happening?
My God, it's
God,
too much.
there's so much content on TV all at one time.
Don't worry, Michelle. Just watch it at 1.5 speed and you'll be all caught up.
Oh God.
Oh, Bobby, let's not start this conversation. Oh, Bobby.
I thought that might get a little rise out of
Gonna
you.
let that go.
We're just gonna move past
Because I
it.
want to go watch Watchmen. I don't want to be on here for another hour. Ooh, yeah. Anyway, unless you guys have anything else.
No, well, I will mention that just real quickly because
Yeah.
Michelle had mentioned, was there any news? And I think since the last time we were all together, one of the bigger news items that happened was that, okay, one of the bigger news ones was that Benioff and Weiss are now not doing a Star Wars movie, not even the trilogy,
Oh, yeah.
because essentially the story that they put out was that because of their Netflix deal, they signed that they won't have time to do the Star Wars films. But it's a lot deeper than that, and I think either Hollywood Reporter or possibly Hollywood Reporter and Variety did stories on it that explain a little bit more in detail what happened there. And I think the bummer of the news for me mostly, not necessarily specifically that they're off the project, but the fact that it's been said that they were doing a Formation of the Jedi storyline that they were going to be working on. That now that they're not working on it, we don't know if someone else will come around and pick that up and continue doing that, or if it's scrapped altogether. Which, to me, that's a bummer if it is, because I would have loved to have seen something like that in the Star Wars universe on the big screen.
Yeah, I think I'm just mostly, I'm bummed first that they're not doing that. I think it would have been a cool trilogy to do. And if indeed they're not just going to find other filmmakers to work on it and it doesn't happen, that's a bummer. I'm also just annoyed at the whole situation with Star Wars right now, where it's like, this seems to be an ongoing problem. Where I don't know if it's just a vetting issue with filmmakers, or if it's probably a more complicated situation, but just having so many filmmakers being pushed out of projects or dropping out of projects. And that's why I get hesitant to get excited about certain announcements. Like when we talked about Kevin Feige on here and Star Wars, and I kind of took a position of, yeah, that sounds cool, but we'll see. Like, and the reason is because of stuff like this. Like,
Right.
it's hard to get excited about Star Wars announcements when I feel like they're pulling the trigger too quickly in announcing these things. Obviously, the Benioff and Weiss situation sounds like, hey, they, as soon as like they knew it was going to happen, it's like they put it out there. I don't know if because they knew it was going to leak or it did leak. I don't think this one leaked, but sounds like it should have waited. Like they were nowhere near even probably pre-production at that point. And,
Right.
for them to pull out of it for, a lot of different reasons that were pointed out in those news reports from Hollywood Reporter and I guess Variety. Yeah, I know, stuff like this, like we got a Ryan Johnson announcement, and say what you will about Last Jedi, and I have mixed feelings on it, but I'm excited about a trilogy from him. But all we know is that he's apparently making a trilogy, and
Yeah,
who knows
who
when.
knows?
And I've heard that after Knives Out, he's probably still going to do one more film before anything to do with Star Wars. So
Right.
It's gonna be some time before that happens.
yeah, that's where I'm bummed as a Star Wars fan. I hate that we live, first of all, in a world where now Star Wars fans are divided after Last Jedi, and that's already annoying. And then it doesn't seem that like Disney / Lucasfilm can really get their shit together with what they're doing with this franchise. And they've put out major theme park lands that apparently are not doing all that well, at least compared to what they expected. I don't know. Just bums me out.
At this point, I'm resolved to the fact that we might not see another Star Wars movie in theaters until like 2024, basically 5 years from now after seeing
That sounds
this.
right.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that if that is the case, that they get a team together to do a trilogy of movies, that they map all three movies out ahead of time in this 5-year gap, so that either they can film them all back to back or something, or that they at least know what the overall storyline is going to be, because that was probably one of the dividing parts of what made this new trilogy shift for fans. So being able to all be on the same page with this time gap should allow them a way to bring the fans back together, especially if you start to go way back in the day where none of us have any frame of reference that we can point to, because there's no specific canon that takes place that far back in Star Wars history. So people can't be saying, oh, that's not how it should be, because they have a blank slate. So I think they should really take this time to do their best to be on the same page, make something cohesive that can stick for 3 movies, and really build out this whole franchise again on the big screen. It'll suck to have to wait that long, but hopefully we'll have plenty of stuff on Disney Plus to keep us occupied in the meantime.
Yeah, I am with you. And in the meantime, I am excited about The Mandalorian. I think it looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Hopefully it is fantastic.
Yeah.
And
I'm
all for high quality TV stuff, you know. I mean, the other things that we have coming from them, obviously the Obi-Wan mini series, I guess if you will, and the Rogue One kind of prequel series.
I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, I'm excited for all of that. So.
Real quick, the only thing I was gonna bring up was there were 2 announcements for like release dates. One was for The Witcher, and I don't have that one pulled up, but the one that really has me excited is the release date that is April 8th, 2022. We get the second Spider-Man verse.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. It's not surprising, I guess, because we knew that as soon as the first one was a hit, that they were going to make a second one.
Oh, right.
And it feels like that's about right in terms of timing, because it's animation and how long it takes to make it. 4 years, I guess, is what we're looking at between the time the last one came out and the new one. So yeah, I mean, it all fits, and it's just good to have that announcement. And I mean, the hardest part is just waiting around for that time, but it's nice to hear it officially announced and knowing that we have that to look forward to.
Yeah, it wasn't so much like an if, it was like a when. When is it going to happen? Yeah. Now it's like, oh, yep, we are officially 100% a go. Like, we're getting a second Spider-Verse. Thank God.
Yeah, and just like, I mean, like to say it too, it's like, that's actually not that bad of timing either. Like, that's pretty quick when you consider, like, I think, Bobby, we were talking to my buddy, and, it turns out that they worked on that for a very, very long time. And then to have them say that they're turning around and they have something that we're ready to go ahead and start releasing information about it. Like, that's kind of a good sign.
Oh, no, it's super impressive, especially 1, in animation, it takes a while to do, but 2, this level of animation that, we received in this first film and what we're going to get hopefully consistently in the future films. No, it's 4 years is about right. I'm pretty okay with it all. It seems pretty quick.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping for, is just consistent with the animation, because the animation for the first one was absolutely gorgeous.
Exactly.
And since you brought up The Witcher, the release date is December 20th of this year.
Oh my gosh, that's really soon. Sweet.
And the other final little thing, a tidbit that got announced was Peyton Reed is back, and we have an Ant-Man 3 coming out.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And I believe they said that's coming out in 2022 as well, which,
that sounds
if
right.
that's the case, that's a post phase 4 announcement sort of thing going on. Right. So it's interesting.
I'm excited. I like the Ant-Man films. I think they're fun. I enjoy them. I take them for what they are. They're just a lot of fun. I like it.
They're like nice side adventures in a way to what's going on within the regular parts of even though they do still dovetail in, but they're just nice kind of on their own movies where it's the very much the lighthearted aspect of the MCU that goes on in those movies.
Yes, exactly. Yep. Totally.
Well, that's going to do it for this episode this week. As always, we would love to hear back from everyone listening. You can email us at feedback@flickereffect.com. We are also on Twitter and Instagram at @flicker_effect. on YouTube at youtube.com/Flicker Effect. All the different places. Check us out. Let us know what you think. Send us your questions and comments. With that, I'm David Lott.
I'm Bobby Jackson.
I'm Yasha Wilson.
And I'm Michelle Hillard.
Thanks for listening.